Going on,
Justin
people?
Trudeau.
Welcome to the Star Wars Fanatics webcast right here on YouTube and Facebook now. Woo! We're reaching out. We're going in many different directions. You can't stop us. 2 places where you can find us. And guess what? 3rd place later when we post it on the website. We're all over the intraweb. I'm beside myself with giddiness. Let's get this show started.
He's tweeting himself.
I want people to
log on. He just untweeted himself.
We're going to, we're live.
We are live already.
I want people to start logging on because we're going to need your questions. We're going to need your feedback. We want participation. You guys are always the best part of our show.
I don't know if you know this. We're live. We are live.
Turns out
Did you pinch yourself?
Joe thought I was just warming up here, so I'll let him chime in. Joe.
You are correct. We are live.
Joe, turns out you were in Europe. Rob just got back from Europe. I was in fucking Phoenix.
Man, bro, I was in Ukraine.
Phoenix is as close to hell as I ever want to be.
God damn, it was 115
Sorry for anybody
degrees.
watching in Phoenix, but let's be real. Yeah. It's hot AF, bro.
Oh, it was hot as fuck. God damn it.
Yeah, but I gotta be honest. I lived in Florida for 10 years, and last week when it was about like 115 degrees in California, I've never felt that heat before in my life.
Yeah, it was hot.
Seriously,
right? I think the difference is the humidity in certain situations.
It wouldn't even matter the humidity. It was walking outside and feeling the fact that the sun hit your face.
Hey, you guys,
and burn.
you know what's shittier than fucking talking about the weather? Not talking about Star Wars on a Star Wars show. Hey,
it's close as the weather on Tatooine, so that's as close as I can get to it. That's all I want.
How hot is fucking Billy Dee Williams? Would you go gay for Billy Dee Williams? I'm talking about 1980.
He was already talking about Henry Cavill.
Circa 1981, Billy Dee Williams, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you
Give
talking
me a Colt 45 and I'm ready to go.
Like walking out of Cloud City, like with his posse, like about ready to gangbang you off the Millennium Falcon stuff? Is that what you're talking about?
I lost you there. What?
No, you didn't. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
I love that our name tags aren't us like initially.
No.
Did you look at the originals?
They changed. This
okay, we're moving around. Right. Do we got the right names?
Yeah.
I usually introduce everybody on the show, but look, we got name tags now. So
yeah, we don't
who's in the message room? Let's get things fired up. Billy Dee coming back to Star Wars as Lando Calrissian.
That's huge news.
That's huge news. Big news. He was the only one we haven't seen so far make the return from the original cast.
So
that was still alive.
Here's my thing. Do you remember in The Last Jedi where Leia says, like, hey, use my personal code to get people, more to the Resistance? I swear.
We were waiting for...
Lando was going to show up, right? You would assume so.
Now, in The Last Jedi, people, when that last call was going out and they were waiting for a response, they're trapped in the caves with the little crystal foxes. And Joe just said it, I could have swore that was the setup to bring Lando back. And it's almost like they were like,
as if he was already hanging out in the cave.
Because it's kind of like how his original role the first time around. He was like the guy, this rogue scoundrel who came in and kind of like brought more oomph to the rebellion. You know, he was this came in as a general. Was it?
No, he came in as a scoundrel.
He came in as a scoundrel, and then
they moved him up.
He became a general. Well, I did.
He says because you became a general was the conversation that Han and him had before they ended up going out to do the different missions.
I wish we can play my interview with Donald Glover right now, where he's like, he straight up was like, you know why I like Lando is like, they were like, you know what, you should run Cloud City. I'm gonna run Cloud City, and that's what he does. But one cool thing Greg Evans says, and I actually really like this comment a lot. He says,
I do too.
With Lando coming back, this will be a great way to retire the Falcon and Chewie. They could give the Falcon back to Lando, and Chewie stays with him on Cloud City. Now, I agree, because we're looking at finalities during Episode 9.
Right.
That's a finality that I think fans, myself, I mean, I'm pretty certain that the 3 of us, I don't know about Rob, the 2 of us, we can agree on.
It's just because you guys are agreeing of one film, it doesn't mean I wouldn't agree with you how to.
You agree on that, though?
I wouldn't be mad about it, but I feel like Rey's gonna keep going on with something. I don't feel like she's
great. I'm glad you're talking about Rey when I was just talking about Lando.
Yeah, but I was switching that up because I don't think that they're end up going to. I don't think they're gonna have the Falcon at the end. I feel like
you think Rey, so it's gonna be passed down to Rey.
Basically, yeah. Why wouldn't it be? Basically, that's what happened with Han dying. So that's being said. That's Rey and Chewie's thing now. Yeah, you talking about Lando. I was talking about the Falcon, bro. I'm not talking about that.
Do you think Rey and Chewie are going to continue on together? Because you don't think Chewie is going to retire and maybe it'll be
Chewie's old and he still keep going. Like you don't know how long a Wookiee's going to live. We don't know how old a Wookiee is now.
It's like, I don't even know how long Ric Flair's going to wrestle, but it could be any day now.
Woo!
People are still riding Space Mountain.
Here's what I think. I think as we said before, one of the major reasons I think that they're bringing back Abrams, or Abrams wanted to come back too, was to set some things straight. And honestly, you know, he's the guy for fan service. Abrams is gonna put in some fan service. There was a lot of outcry after The Last Jedi by a lot of the older Star Wars fans and the Luke fans, whatnot. But the one thing that J.J. Abrams did right, although we didn't really need another Death Star, he brought back just enough fan service in The Force Awakens to make almost everybody happy. I think this is what we're seeing here. There's going to be little bits of closure to a bunch of overlapping story arcs over 9 films now that hopefully will set up the legacy or the future of the Star Wars franchise. And I think retiring some of these characters, it's not always a popular statement with the hardcore fans, especially the 40+ crowd. Retire some of these original characters and start building a new world and new characters.
But you got to. Like, you have to, right? Like, Star Wars isn't one of those things where you're going to replace an actor to carry on the legacy.
Right.
I know that you can hire younger, which what they did with Alden Ehrenreich, which makes a lot of sense to me. But hiring, like, you wouldn't hire, like, another person to portray Carrie Fisher, even though she passed away. It just, it's
unless
just
you're younger.
That's what I'm saying, though, unless you're younger.
Yeah.
But you're not going to hire her for the future. I think that a lot of these characters eventually do need to retire, and I feel like that's what we kind of want, right? Like, I don't necessarily...
Closure is always nice.
Yeah, it's a nice...
Closure is always nice in a right way to do it. And, you know, talking about, like, different characters that come back. Now, like, that being said, like...
Daniel, take your pills. Take your pills, Daniel.
Don't make me get the hose.
Take your heart medicine.
Don't make me get the hose.
The heart, it hurts.
Oh, jeez.
Okay,
Keep it tonight out, fire,
we
dear.
got a lot of ruckus in the peanut gallery tonight.
No, but like I liked how Yoda came back in you know, the
as a puppet.
But that which is cool by me.
Frank Oz Yoda.
But like I would love to see like a Qui-Gon Jinn and like an Obi-Wan and that kind of like all of a sudden just show up and be like, Rey, this is how you need to do things. This is how we're here to help type thing.
More Force Ghosts?
More Force Ghosts. I would love I would love for Qui-Gon Jinn to show up randomly and be a Force Ghost. Is it a random pick for one? Sure.
I would kind of like it too, but the only thing is, if that happens though, I want this generation of Star Wars to end, so we can move into the next generation of Star Wars.
Well, speaking, he
it's already doing that anyway.
So I don't know if Rey's going to carry on. I don't even know if I want to see Rey carry on.
Right.
I know that I do want to see. Remember that little kid at the end of The Last Jedi where he gets his broom and he goes, shoop,
oh yeah, the little Padawan.
To me,
you meet the little Harry Potter kid.
But honestly, like even watching that scene
saw 10 episodes
now in terms of like just reliving as a fan of like bringing a legacy together. He has his rebel ring on. He sees the thing in the sky, and he has that silhouette of a young Jedi. To me, that is such a cool scene and a great way to bring into the future.
Right.
And I thought to myself that, man, that's one thing this movie executed really well, is that when you think all hope is lost with the Resistance, that it just takes one spark, and that's the whole purpose of that movie.
Exactly.
One spark.
And here's what I like about that, and you know, like we've made this comparison before. Marvel has years and years of comic book and world building through comic books and stacks of characters that they can expand into and storylines and arcs that they can dip into. It's what is it, like 70, 80 years of Marvel comics? I don't know. I'm just making up a number. How old is that? Just
it's like
50?
10 years.
Okay, we're going with 50.
Well, no, Captain America just turned 80.
Yeah, no, he's 100. He was 100.
Okay.
Oh, it's timely comics, right?
But whatever the case, Star Wars doesn't have that luxury, right? So I think it's really important that we start setting up all these arcs, and with only a couple of movies a year to do it, you know, we're gonna want to really throw as much out. We're gonna want to see as much thrown out there as possible, and start this world building and start this character building. And
Rob Williams is really upset right now. He's doing exactly what some of these fans did before. He says, nope, you're
Hey,
high.
I'm with Rob Williams. That to me, it was kind of like, okay, you saw depression. I don't.
Great.
like,
So
it's-
let's make about 50 more years of Luke Skywalker films. Let's
No,
do that.
I'm not saying
Why
anything
don't
wrong
we
with
dig
Luke
up
Skywalker
Carrie
films.
Fisher?
Okay.
And
Okay.
continue
Oh, whoa, whoa,
to
whoa,
keep
whoa,
making
whoa,
that.
Joe, get some sleep.
No,
Get
here's
some
the deal.
sleep. No.
I think that all of
Don't
you
be
guys
dropping out
are
the digging up
fucking
Carrie Fisher
delusional,
stuff.
man.
Not
Like-
even close. You're delusional. You just talk about digging up Carrie
Literally
Fisher.
last week, Rob,
You
you
like
literally
throwing
said I
on
asked
stuff
you
on
if
top
you
of
were
people's faces
if
so
you
that
were
they
to
have
judge,
digital
if you
stuff.
were to judge,
If that's the case,
okay,
then you
one-
go
so
on
hold on,
something
one,
and do
one
that.
person
Rob,
talking at a time.
literally
I'll let
last
Joe talk.
week.
Go ahead.
Last week you said if we were to judge the Two Towers and Lord of the Rings right there as the finale of Lord of the Rings, how would you judge it? You know what you said? You said, "Well, I can't
Yeah,
judge it
because
because it's
I
a
can't judge it
trilogy."
'cause it's a trilogy.
Guess what?
But
This
that's
movie's
still
a
a
part of a
movie
fucking
made
trilogy,
sense.
Rob.
Yes, I didn't. Never mind. It's completely pointless to go.
Of
off
course
that.
it's pointless because you hate this
talked
movie,
about
but it's a
beating
part
the
of
dead
a
horse.
fucking trilogy. We have no idea how this ends. So just like you've already judged this movie, but you won't judge.
Your hate for this.
You won't judge
your
the
hate
Two
for
Towers,
the-
but you've
the
judged
fact
this
of
movie.
You're
Doesn't
talking
make
about Lord
sense.
of the Rings, bro. This is Star Wars.
No, I think Joe's not expressing hate. He's expressing
No,
love over it.
Okay,
but you're
so
not,
we
you're
had the
not a
same
fan of the
same
new
going.
Star Wars movies.
No. I never said that.
You
I
don't-
never said that. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that one.
You did.
I re-said that I enjoyed Rogue One as I
Okay.
rewatched it, as you recall.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Good on you.
Yes. Okay. I didn't say it was the better one, but I said that the solo film was probably the best one that they've made, in my opinion. Again, opinion-wise.
That's fair. Okay.
Of going off of Lord of the Rings, fuck Lord of the Rings. We're talking Star Wars, okay? Like, you can't compare
But you
Twin
can,
Towers.
because
No, you can't.
You can compare
That's
any
a completely
trilogy to any
different-
other trilogy, dude.
There was a point in the last Lord of the Rings where I thought Frodo and Sam were gonna kiss, like when they were.
Yeah,
so
like when
freaking
they were
happy
about
at
ready
the
to
end.
go off in the
Just-
ring.
Just
and,
a little
yeah,
side
okay.
note. I just thought they were gonna.
Listen,
kiss.
to me, I honestly looking at it from a perspective of not a fanboy in just a movie and just somebody that enjoys cinema.
But
I
it's
think
it's not like you said before. You said last week. You said Star Wars is not something that we should just go off of like 3 movies. It's an event. It's a time period. It's a thing to go. You bring your family to. It is something that goes on. You said that.
I did say that.
Well,
I
Travis,
said,
Travis says original cast forever. Dig up Fisher and bring them back.
Good
Bring
God.
Hamill back.
You're
So-
as horrible as he is.
no, man.
Digital input there.
I honestly feel that. All right, so and I did say Star Wars is an event, but just because it's an event doesn't mean it's not a trilogy. Also, so which means is
No, it's not a trilogy. It's 9 films
okay. So you're
plus.
so
It's
then,
not a trilogy anymore.
Rob. It's
It's a
3
trilogy
sets
of
of a
trilogies.
trilogy. Are you kidding me?
It's a trilogy of trilogies.
It's 3 sets of 3 trilogies.
Okay, so 3 sets of 3 trilogies, but it's not a trilogy. Not completely. Not fully.
Rob.
It's a universe.
It's
You're
kind of
kidding,
it's
right?
3. It's kind of the definition of a trilogy.
Yeah, I mean you're actually
mind.
like proving
Never
a
mind.
point for me.
I'm so glad.
My whole point to this was that last week we had said that the Two Towers, as a standalone.
Again,
film
it goes
for-
back to Lord of the Rings. We're talking Star Wars. We got Lando to talk about, man.
No,
Skip
this-
that
you
shit.
know what that means is that yes, you were wrong and I was right. Thank you.
Oh, such an opinionated.
You know, how could you not bring Lando back after
They should,
Glover's
because that's-
strong
truth.
But
portrayal
that's
of the character?
that's Donald Glover, not Billy Dee
but
Williams.
I'm saying,
now.
but I'm
Hold
saying,
on.
he brought so much attention to his performance and his character. You had to bring Lando back for this movie. You had to go back.
You don't
and
think
bring...
Billy Dee Williams has got the chops now?
No.
No. I mean, I know he's having a lot of trouble with his memory right now. So, we're bringing him back for nostalgia factor and for fan service. Let's be honest. Let's be real about it, because to me, this is exploitation. I love Lando as a character, and I'm happy to see him back, but it has to be minimalized, because if it's for an extensive run, it's going to be.
I mean, look,
Not
if
great,
he just wore what he's got on the left, I'm cool with it. You don't need a cape. Who wears capes anymore? That is straight up.
He better wear a fucking cape.
But
is all I'm saying.
no, look at this. Look at this. That is straight up pimping, and he is just going to the show.
That he's getting ready to shoot another Colt 45
He is-
commercial right there.
He already had 2 zigzags.
Yeah. All he needs is a big brim hat. Lando with a big brim hat. That would be pretty fresh. Anyways.
I mean, he.
Listen,
at
I
that
think
point, though,
Lando's
it
a
has-
relevant character.
So Rob brought up a decent point when he mentioned like bringing Qui-Gon Jinn back as Force Ghost. If you can, we have Lando coming back. Who would you
Listen,
bring back? And I'm not gonna say you're not allowed to answer Dash Rendar. which original?
I'm a huge Lando fan. So and this is me. I like
Yeah.
me saying this. I love Lando.
Yeah.
Is he
was
the
your
character
wish.
I would bring back? No, it'd be Wedge Antilles.
Interesting.
Because I think Wedge Antilles is the one dude that was always a part of this, and he was always a great fighter and always stuck with the rebellion through thick and thin. And my vision of Wedge, and I don't know really what happened. I mean, I don't follow the books at all. I don't know if he became a politician or whatever. But I feel like Wedge has enough influence where he would be such a strong factor in this movie. And truth be told, you don't have to bring that exact actor back. Just bring back a person to play Wedge.
Yeah.
And that's all I would need.
Yeah, it wasn't the most iconic casting of all time.
I don't
you know,
think
people are calling for the
they're
original
not
actor,
going,
but-
hey, where's Wedge at?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they're
I
not.
think that's a real good. But I think that's a real good call. I think that's a backstory that would be interesting. He's like, you know, everybody was saying, well, why is Poe such a great pilot? What's his heritage? What's his lineage?
I gotta give credit to Anthony though. Anthony Kudkowski for that article. He did talk about where Wedge is.
Uh-huh.
I mean, this was a part of that inspiration, but I think Wedge is the perfect
Yeah,
character to bring back.
I think that's a good call. It's an interesting call. It could bring a lot of depth to the actual rebellion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know that Wedge is successful at leading these kinds of missions,
Uh-huh.
so he would be able to do it with minimal effort to make maximum impact, or at the very least, strategize on how to get the resistance back up front. Wedge is the man to me.
Wedge with Lando and combining themselves
With Poe? I like the
I think
idea.
that would be kind of neat.
I do
That's
too.
pretty good. I would bring back.
I'd bring back Lobot. For
I
sure with
would-
that
I would-
You got to
because
bring back Lobot.
If you don't have Lobot with
Josh
Lando
Goldman
at that
needs
point,
a job, so Josh Goldman
That's
could
right.
play Lobot
That's right.
right now currently.
I mean, yeah.
I would bring back a certain cantina bartender
Oh God,
who is now getting their very own Black Series.
the Black Series treatment.
Black Series treatment.
Ro wants to bring back B. Arthur.
I'm not
Well,
mad
since
about
we're-
B. Arthur coming
since
back.
We're talking about digging up the dead. You know?
Actually,
Jeez.
to dig up the dead on that though, wouldn't you have like Darth Plagueis come back and like really dig up the dead?
I'm surprised Dark Plagueis hasn't officially made an appearance.
That's what
on
I'm
anything,
saying.
actually.
Referenced
That's why
in
I was
canon.
hoping
In canon,
in
he's
canon,
been referenced twice
many
now?
times. Yep,
two or three
yep.
times now.
Well, okay, there's a whole like 10-minute scene of weird orchestra junk that went on that talked about him.
Exactly. So Mike has a comment which supports bringing back Wedge. Mike Brizzetti says, and Wedge could have been one of the leaders of the sect to answer the call from the distress signal. Which, I mean, you got to think, man. If Leia even says it, because in that movie I didn't even really realize that she says this. Give them my personal code so they know it's coming from me. You'd have to assume that somebody gave a shit about Leia
Right.
enough to answer that. Maybe they didn't get there fast enough though. But
I don't know, but
I mean, maybe that's where we get
could-
Lando and Wedge just
It
driving
could,
in
but
there.
it could be the reason they're bringing him back for
I hope.
this very list.
I hope.
You know what? JJ Goodman in the chat just gave me some very interesting.
JJ's one of our
information.
writers.
So JJ Lando's answer, yeah, he says Wedge was killed on Hussein Prime, Hosnian Prime, Hussein.
Who said? Whoa, that's a
different
completely
deal.
different.
He was retired at the end of the Aftermath series, which is canon. Aftermath is canon.
So Wedge is dead. Oh man, that's so sad.
So Wedge is
Oh,
dead, so that cancels
shit.
out.
Maybe
Now,
Wedge had a
here's,
kid.
Here's somebody I wish would have a backlining. I'm gonna go off of the Shadows of the Empire. I know we're not
Dash
talking about
Rendar.
No, Prince Zexier, Prince Zexier, and then you bring in Dash Rendar because Zexier had like the entire like he Black Sun stuff that funded everything.
I was gonna ask you. Do you think the Black Sun stuff was like a replacement for the Crimson Dawn?
Honestly, the Crimson Dawn, I was literally, when they were going to say that, I was like, please just say
Black Sun.
Black Sun.
I agree.
Because if you would have done that, that would have just opened up a door for lots of fun stuff that would have been.
Do you feel that was the
There's a
influence
missed
there?
opportunity. I
Honestly,
think.
it was a very missed opportunity. Because you could have opened up. Okay, fanboys would have
Well,
been
you know
happy.
what? That'd
B,
give-
it would have been a full series you could have made
Right.
off of that.
But you know what? That
I
might set
agree.
something up.
That's
When
way
you change
missed
the name of
opportunity.
something, it sets up. Also, it could also set up a backstory. You could have someone like Filoni in an animated series, like kind of set up the transition into Crimson Dawn. You know how the group kind of fell apart and they brought it. You know, there's often organizations like that often go through transitions in a franchise, right? So you could set stuff like it's not a done deal. It's not a done deal.
Going off of what you were talking about those guys, Anthony Boss said, I think Thrawn and Ezra should appear in 9. I would be cool by that if they threw in some Cad Bane.
Right.
I got to talk to my boy Justin Lee, though. By the way, Ben Wolf, one of our writers, wants to correct you on your
I still want to know the Ezra terms at some point.
pronunciation of Shizor. What did you say?
Shizor?
Yeah, I think that's
Shizor?
the correct pronunciation. But my boy,
Shizor?
Shizor. But my boy Justin Lee, Joe, you know, you could have responded to the. You know who could have responded to the distress signal? A certain guy and a droid who faked their death after defeating Shizor. His name? Dash Rendar.
You know what? Josh Vanderwater makes a great point. Have we seen a Jawa in a Disney
Nope.
era
Nope.
Star Wars movie?
Nope.
No.
I don't think, not at all. Not at all.
What?
It would have, again,
That was my Jawa.
bro, that sounded like you sucked on some helium before you did that.
That was the
It was like, yeah,
Why-
Mugwai.
why do you
Don't
do
feed,
this,
bro.
by the
Don't
way?
feed.
What
No,
do you-
because, no, that's a Tusken Raider, bro.
No, but
You're
but
like,
but when they zap R2, they go, R2. He holds up his little thing. R2.
That's the best.
I
Go fuck
can't wait
yourself.
till you,
You know what?
sing some yub yub.
Listen, here's
Silly old
the
bear.
oh man, here we go. Here's the facts of the matter, though. I think Lando coming back is a great addition. I really do wish that Wedge was going to be brought back, but at the same time, I understand. I know that the actor didn't want to come back, and that's Ewan McGregor's uncle, by the way. I think he retired from acting, actually. But I think Wedge had always had such a strong story and was also such a key part of the rebellion.
Uh-huh.
And for me to not bring that character back is almost a disservice to the character, killing him off screen. I mean, at the very least, Admiral, though he didn't die.
He's
Yeah,
the most
yeah,
prolific-
I
how
was
is
gonna say
it
Admiral
that-
Akbar, right? He didn't die
How
on
come
screen
that wasn't a
glorious
deleted
enough.
scene?
A deleted scene of him flying out and being like,
Yeah, he died pretty unheroically, but I understand why
it
that
was a
happened.
waste of a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did find out his last words in the comic, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
It was a pleasure.
It was a
serving
pleasure
with-
serving with you.
Those were his last words right before he sucked.
Man,
Well,
that movie
it's
sucked.
too bad
I really
that
do like that movie.
the director didn't put that in there.
Hey, by the way, you didn't like the Canto bite scene, right?
I hated
I'm going
it.
to tell you why I did like it, though.
I
I'm
can't wait.
50-50
I
on
can't
it.
wait.
I'm in between the two.
I
of you
can't
on
wait.
that, so
Here it is.
Let's go.
Go
Well,
ahead.
here's the thing. Everything, all the pieces of dialogue for that film and the Canto bite scene were all establishing things about oppression and the rich. And also, this is the first time we actually got to see Star Wars with the
And an
higher
arms
class
race.
rich people. And
No,
all about the
not,
arms
not
race.
true,
Yeah.
brother. Not
Who
true.
are you going to say?
Not true. Naboo was completely rich.
Not like this. This was,
Naboo
But not,
this was like a
they
casino
weren't
rich.
not like arms
This is
dealers.
arms
Underworld.
dealers high roller rich. It's a
Like-
little different story here, and it's underground rich. And I think that okay.
I don't
what other
agree
movie
on
that happened in? Go episode 3, 4, 5.
Coruscant is completely rich. Are you kidding me?
So that was so you're
That's a
saying
completely
Coruscant is
city.
the underground high roller
It was
city.
There is
Coruscant
lots
is
of
not-
underground high rolling.
and
going
we saw
in
that on film in
Coruscant.
Coruscant.
We've never
Cool,
seen it.
cool story, bro. So what I'm
Okay,
gonna say
so
here,
hold on. Where were they at in Rogue One when he was trying to get the info when he kills the dude?
that's my point exactly.
Where is that?
This is
Where
our
is that?
first time
no, but
seeing
where is
this.
that? Where is that?
Where is it?
Exactly. Where is it?
What does it matter?
That's why I'm asking you. Does anybody know that? Where are they at when he's getting the info?
Cool story, bro. So here's my point of this: is that this is the first time we're seeing these high rollers kind of do
So
this thing.
Jabba the Hutt.
A lot of high rollers at the same time doing this.
Tatooine?
I think it was important to show the oppression that city was going through
Pod racing.
in terms of everything else we were seeing. Unlike, like it's a dichotomy. And I know Rob said you could explain this in a couple minutes in that scene, but you can do that with the whole prequels. I mean, it's explained.
You can do that. One
But guess
in
what? They
about
turned that
same
shit in.
time.
Jordan's here. What the fuck? Jordan, come here, buddy. I can give you a hug, buddy.
Okay, while
Okay.
Joe steps off screen to give his buddy a hug, I was wondering if somebody off screen could actually grab me a bottle of vodka. Is that a doable thing?
Get the open bottle, Jess.
All right. Oh, you are my favorite person of the day. Thank you so much.
Travis, I've seen
is what this is turning
into. So-
Solo 2-3 times already. Yes.
We drink vodka exclusively now on this show, so we will be
We're sponsored by a vodka company now.
I'm picking up the cases on Tuesday. So
That's a legit thing now. We actually are now.
So there you go. There you have it.
But what I was saying about this, about that scene in particular, I know this might be an unpopular opinion, and I don't care. But what I was saying about it was that it did show the dichotomy, and it made the Rose character stronger because you understood what she was standing for.
Right.
And I think that was more important because it has a little bit more significant impact onto the film because of her beliefs. And one thing about Rose is that she stands very strong with her beliefs throughout the whole course of the movie.
I'm in between you two guys on this
Joe,
one.
you interview a lot of people for a living, right?
Yes.
And you can kind of tell how a story's going to go way before it even shows up, right?
For the most part.
For the most part. You couldn't tell how that was going to go before they even showed up.
Yeah, but that's
a negative. The coincidence of DJ being inside of a jail cell that he could get himself out at any time. He could give him a code at any point. It's like 45 minutes of them running around an area with these random ass horse-looking things to run through an area, and you call that if you want to do a depression scene, you can show it in less time than what they did.
Oppression, not depression.
Depression?
Oppression.
Okay, wait.
Okay, well, it was still depressive to watch.
Back to what you were saying. You're right. You can usually dictate. You can usually
it was
dictate.
Depressing to watch.
You can usually dictate the way the story is going by certain situations. However, with that scenario, which you just threw at me, then why make episode 9? Because I can tell you what's going to happen. The resistance is going to win. I mean, let's be honest. That's what's going to happen, right? So why even make that?
Why even make what? Another movie? They want to make money, obviously. Duh. We want to see the ending of what's going.
Right. I just told you what the ending.
Yeah, but so you're saying that because you could predict what was going to happen, or you
I'm saying the fact that it was that's very shitty storytelling.
Not being able to predict. I thought that was the definition of good storytelling.
Predictable things.
Like, you don't want shit to be predictable.
No, I don't want the shit to be predictable. That entire scene was predictable.
Okay.
But wait a minute. But the majority of the movie wasn't predictable.
Majority. I'm talking that scene. You were literally strictly talking about Canto Bight.
But Rob, you didn't like the movie, right?
You were literally talking about Canto Bight.
I was.
You're
just
literally
a second
talking
ago.
about Canto Bight.
I was just a second
and
ago.
I was saying, no. You switched it up. I'm talking about Canto Bight.
Yeah, I did. I switched it up.
Yeah.
So
how about we talk about
the
10 years? Congratulations to Clone Wars for being
Are you
10 years
avoiding
old
the
now.
question?
That was like 3 weeks ago. We
no,
had
it isn't. They're gonna do 10-year reunion.
So wait a minute. Hold on. Time out.
Now.
You didn't like Last Jedi, though,
We
right?
have talked about this so much.
But
let's move on. There's so much more Star Wars news to talk about.
You literally just said that a good movie is predictable. There's not a ton of Star Wars news this week, so we could dwell on
There is
this
a ton of Star Wars news, actually.
The only news that matters is Billy Dee's coming back to reprise his role as Lando fucking Calrissian, and he's coming back looking like he just starred fresh out of a new Colt 45 commercial. So there.
The best kind of commercial.
Suck on that. Canto Bight. What if they were serving Colt 45 in the bar at Canto Bight?
It might be a better movie.
Oh, jeez. God damn it, Rob.
It might be a better movie. It makes a better drinking game to do that. This is a Star Wars show.
Rob is a
and you make it so hard to talk about Star Wars sometimes.
It is not at all. It's not hard to talk about Star Wars. It is not. You were talking about opinions. His opinion. You like it. I don't like it.
Wait a minute. But you're you don't make any sense because you literally just said... You literally just said that a good movie is when you can expect what's coming. And then I asked you, do you like Star Wars? Do you like The Last Jedi? No, I don't like The Last Jedi. Did you expect what was coming? No, I didn't expect what was coming. What are you talking about?
You were literally what you were talking about that scene, and that's what we were talking about.
And then I reverted it to another subject, and then you didn't want to. Yes, I did, but you didn't want to talk about it.
No, because we beat this thing to a dead horse. How many times have you guys heard us talk about this film?
So then you ask me when, and I tell you when, and then you say I didn't do it. So which one is it, man?
I'm asking you.
Rob, you are a very confusing dude.
Okay, well, so I don't know what to talk about next, but fucking Rob is not going to like it no matter what. So
because you guys are going to talk about The Last Jedi for days, man.
Like it just came out on Netflix.
Solos come out before then.
How about you talk about Solo? Last Jedi just came out on Netflix a couple weeks ago, and people are talking about it again. It is holding up for me. I've taken in all your opinions and taking it into consideration in the rewatch. And yes, I do find flaws in the Canto Bight scene. It wasn't set up well.
Nope.
It wasn't set up well, and it does go on a bit too long. The dialogue is not strong, but it serves a greater purpose. That scene sets up that aristocratic culture in Star Wars. We now have arms dealers. We now have this upper echelon of
You saying
high
we didn't
roller
have arms dealers in Star Wars beforehand?
Not really. Not on this level. Not a culture of people getting rich off the war between the rebellion and the Empire. When there's a war, there's two sides, and there's an economy of a war.
Of course, because
okay?
those are the guys who are
This
funding
is the
this
first
stuff.
time. This is the first time we've really addressed the economy of Star Wars. Where does that money come from? Who's getting rich during a war?
But I also think
How
that
much-
was such an intelligent part of that whole story.
So you guys,
is that the person was making money off of, because it's not just bad guys and good guys making money off of bad guys, but they
Right.
were also selling to the resistance also.
And
And I
it's-
think that was the moral complexual dilemma.
It makes things a lot
that
more
makes
complicated.
things more complicated.
Right. And here's the other thing, since I haven't really chimed in on this argument. Here's what I find intriguing about this. There is a gray area between the good guy and the bad guy.
Travis Taylor says, so out of the three of you, who would like The Last Jedi and who didn't? You're not watching what's going on here? It's obviously divided on the table, brother.
Travis wants you to drink. Wants you to grab a drink also. So
Where does it say that? Where does it say that?
It says it right here. Get a drink.
Grab a drink
right
right now. Then get it going, man. Flow it up.
All right, we got it.
But on McKinsey says they could have done something else besides a casino.
Agreed.
That's not Star Wars, in my opinion. I mean, but
Technically, you could have had a casino. It's just I felt like it was way too long.
I kind of feel like casinos and arms dealers
They
like
coincide.
It's a James Bond
They
thing,
coincide.
right? Like James Bond movies.
I mean,
Don't bring
what the
James
fuck?
Bond
Did
feels-
anybody see the movie
this is Star
Casino?
Wars.
What the fuck are you talking
Yeah,
about?
for real. It's all gangsters.
It kind of gangster shit kind of
But
goes with
instead
the
of
casino.
doing,
We could have had a whorehouse, but that's not
I mean,
Star Wars.
are you sure?
I mean, listen. All right, so Matthew Groff says nothing's complex about The Last Jedi. I
disagree.
I will disagree, and I'm
I
not a
disagree
fan
with
of the
that too.
movie.
That's like saying, but
a
then
very
if you don't think
complex
anything's
movie.
complex about The Last Jedi, then nothing's complex about any of the Star Wars films.
Correct.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
Correct. Matt, you're completely wrong. Get off our channel.
Okay, let's hit the comments. We got a shit ton of them.
Bro,
what
we're
do people
hitting
say?
the comments. I'm
Okay,
just
we
kidding.
are hitting the comments.
He was trying to create a friend's journey.
I guess we did hit all these
some
comments.
forms.
Well,
Casino
Lando's
movie.
gonna marry C-3PO. No, I think
Lando's gonna marry C-3PO.
I think he. Yeah, well, he
Anthony
does like
Daniels might
everything.
be cool with that.
All right,
Well,
so Justin Lee does have a good retort to a lot of what we're saying. He says, would have preferred a hut palace instead of a casino. Now, here's the
Okay,
problem.
so yes and no.
Here's the problem with that I have is that once you rely so much on the
On
past
huts,
that you can't move
there's
forward
no
into the
future.
future. Thank you.
Right.
I mean, I think that that's kind of a problem that cinema and long form storytelling has is that you rely so heavily onto the past that you're
there's
not
only
able to
seven
evolve
stories
yourself
that
into
can
the
never be
future.
told anyways.
And I think that now that we open the door to all the races that were in Canto Bight and Canto Bight just existing in general, that opens the door to way more into to me in terms of to the Star Wars universe. And I think that is something that is much needed because now, like Ro was saying, we can do an arms dealer thing on how they make trades at Canto Bight. That could be an offshoot kind of thing. You can actually have animated series go to Canto Bight and see the complexities of some of the races and the people that go there. There's just a whole plethora of stories you can tell from that
In the
place.
new last two movies with Solo and The Last Jedi, we are setting up a need to see more of the Star Wars quote-unquote underworld, right? We're seeing, which we touched on in some of the animated series, but really haven't seen it other than some minor, like, we've touched on it a little bit with like the huts and things like that. But we're really starting to see this culture, this rogue, underground criminal culture in Star Wars, and that eventually is going to have to become its own thing. I think we've talked about this at nauseum to some point. The Bounty Hunter series, right? What we could do with what they could do with the Star Wars television stuff that's coming up. I really think that there's an opportunity for all of this underground, underworld Star Wars
And be a
storytelling.
complete series
We've
in
seen
itself.
books and comics on it
Yeah.
for years.
I mean, Tales of the Bounty Hunter were a huge book
right.
back in the
Josh
day.
also has a really good point about the casino. He says the casino showed that slavery is still alive and well, and it is a galaxy-wide issue. Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Slavery
sucks.
Slavery
Hashtag
sucks.
Battlestar Gabrownica.
Wow.
Slavery
That's
sucks.
only funny in this room.
I
No
know.
one else gets
Nobody
it.
Nobody
good.
really else gets that.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to change my call sign real soon. Anyways,
Call
guys.
sign?
You're already
No,
Battlestar Galactica on there.
I love the fact
See?
that you're so
Look,
old
he's
that you
already
call it a
right
call
there.
sign.
I don't know what the fuck do you call it.
He's
God
like,
damn it.
let
Twitter
me
handle
get my handle on.
I'm the only guy at this fucking table who saw the original Star Wars movie in the fucking
It's
movie
true,
theater.
it's true.
That's your story. You might
Hold
be
on,
the only guy.
I just
Josh,
dusted
didn't you
off
see?
the
Did
dirt.
you
I'm
see
that-
one of the
well,
other
I'm-
ones?
Just dust off the dirt.
I'm that old.
Josh
It's
is
all
with you.
good.
Josh is with
But
you.
think about it. You were there.
I was there.
You
were
made
there.
history.
You
I
made
did make
history.
This wouldn't even exist because if it weren't for guys
I
like
remember
you.
the fact that I went to the fucking toy store afterwards and there were no Star Wars toys yet.
I saw a
That's
documentary
terrible.
on that. The Toys and Man. It's a
Yeah.
good documentary.
It's pretty. It's
You know, I was
pretty-
asked to be on that
I
show.
lived it, bro. True story.
Anthony Boss Kutkoski says, there's a book called From a Certain Point of View, stories about characters seeing everything that has happened in the movies from their vantage point. I mean, how cool is that for a movie? I actually agree with that. Agree with that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a choose your own adventure book.
Thing. How's that a choose your own adventure when the movies have already been made?
I'm saying it sounds like it could be. I didn't say it is.
DeMarcus
It could
Hamby
be.
says, I'm black,
could
and I
be.
get it. Hey, it's funny, fellas. No big deal. These days,
Could be.
people get offended over the dumbest stuff.
Correct.
God, you're
So should we have a
choir, man.
racist Star Wars character? Is that what he's saying?
Oh,
We need to
we've
challenge
had
it.
that.
already
We've had
had
that. It was called
What
Jar
were-
Jar Binks.
No, and it was also called that what were those traitor guys from the Federation guys? Who are those guys?
Oh, you thought those guys were racist?
they were like and Waddles,
Wa-
Oh,
definitely.
yeah,
Watto
yeah,
racist.
yeah. He was. There were some slavers in Star Wars.
Yeah,
I
we've
guess.
already had slavers. Why do we need more?
Is it less offensive when the slavers are handling alien species? Or is it still slavery?
It's
Is it
still slavery.
offensive?
Well, they already did humans.
Hey, so what are you guys' favorite Star Wars figures? Is the question we got asked.
Star Wars figures.
Dash Rendar.
Star Wars.
My
They
figures.
came in a 2-pack, guys.
My favorite Star Wars figure is finally being released.
Wow.
The B. Arthur Black Series Holiday Special Edition. Junior, cue the fucking image. God damn it. Let's see this work of art.
It's B. Arthur, bro. I don't understand how a
How?
Golden Girl to you is the most popular Star
She's
Wars
the most
character.
underrated. There we go. That's
That's pretty cool. But does she come with blue milk action?
It is a Golden Girl.
That looks
dude.
like you have to fill her
That
up in
is-
the back. And
Oh
like,
my God!
like-
It does look like she's filling up with blue.
That's
milk.
what I'm saying.
It does.
You have to pump her like so she.
Oh,
gives her
whoa,
blue
whoa,
milk out.
whoa, whoa, whoa!
Listen,
You don't pump anybody nowadays without their permission.
Listen,
That's done.
that was-
Tag me too, Rob.
listen, it was a different time back then.
B.
Arthur would not accept that.
B. Arthur was a strong woman, dude.
Yo,
she was a
so
golden girl.
so would you have to have like Betty White play her character now if she came back?
That's a good call. I mean,
I would
is she
let
the
Be- I
only
would
living
be-
golden girl?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah?
she is. She is.
Is Betty White
barely,
the only
right?
living Golden
But
Girl?
barely. But to be honest though, she's pretty she's
what?
pretty active for being
I love monster movies. You know, that's like if I had to pick a genre, like I love sci-fi and monster
which one
movies.
you want? Monster movies? What's your favorite?
Of recent time, like some of the best monster movies that have been the original Lake Placid with Betty White.
The original one. Yep.
Fucking
Yep.
was one of my
you
favorite
not
monster
seen
movies. It's so
Shape
great.
of Water.
Shape of
Oh,
Water.
Shape of Water is fucking awesome, but I'm just saying.
But he's
Betty
talking
White
about the
and Lake
original.
Placid.
Yeah, she
Let's
she
be
was
real.
she
we
was
want
she,
to talk about Oscar Academy
she was
Award-winning
the
performance.
wasn't she the girl at the cabin who like held the cabin? Remind me. I remember her being.
She was
on
the
a-
old lady feeding the
Yes,
crocodiles,
yes,
telling the
yes,
rangers
and
to
telling
fuck
to
off
kill,
and
kill
leave the
all of them. Yes,
crocodile.
yes, yes,
alive.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
leave
love
them
that. Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Hidden Man Crush.
What? Hey, Bernie Bregman
Joe
says
was
Star
telling
Wars.
us that before we started, actually.
Turns out Joe just went gay for Superman.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I have no problem with that. Like, if I was gonna go gay for anybody, it would be Henry Cavill. What's wrong with that?
not bad.
Who would
Not
you
bad.
who would you cast Henry Cavill in Star Wars, Joe?
Who cares? Anybody?
You'd
Yeah.
you'd have him take over Lando's spot.
Well,
You
No,
said
no.
anybody. You just said anybody.
You know what?
sure,
would
I don't
like-
care.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see Henry Cavill as a villain in Star Wars.
Have him do Cad Bane.
Yeah, Cad Bane.
Cad Bane, Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill can do anything.
Yeah, it would be too cliche to make him a
Straight
Jedi, right? It'd be too cliche to make him a Jedi.
Yeah, honestly, let's see him more of as like another smuggler.
How do you become that good looking and be that nice of a person in front of the camera?
Just because you had a romantic weekend with him in France.
It
dude.
is.
In
It
France.
is the city.
How
of
was the
love.
escargot?
It is the city of.
Did y'all share escargot? Did he feed you?
I wish that was. I dreamt about that actually.
Oh, was that before or after Tom Cruise was on an Apple box?
It was. It was right before your
Grinder
Your
cruise?
grinder cruise.
Oh,
So,
my grinder cruise, huh? Thanks for the booking, bro. Yeah, I got your discount.
No, but Paris was fun. But honestly, Henry Cavill is I'm okay to say it. He's a good-looking dude.
Yeah.
He has the squarest jaw I've ever seen. Beautiful,
Symmetrical.
hazel eyes.
He's fucking symmetrical. He's chiseled. He's handsome. He's an iconic American man. He's a superhero.
But he's not American though.
He's not. He's Canadian or something.
British.
He's British.
He's British. All right.
I think
whatever.
yeah.
I've only seen him in movies. Fuck it. I didn't watch
British.
your interview. Sorry, bro. I'll
Yeah,
check it
don't
out.
worry, it hasn't aired yet.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
But yeah, man, I honestly think too that with a lot of the characters that we have in Star Wars right now, I think that it's time to have new characters. I think that's the beauty of that universe is you can create new characters.
There's so many characters that are even in EU that haven't.
But once we keep relying on the old, I think that's where things get complacent.
No,
That's true.
I agree with that.
We still haven't tackled the issue, and it's been brought up in the chat room. We haven't tackled the issue of Obi-Wan, Ewan McGregor coming back as Obi-Wan. So if we're talking about leaving these characters behind, do we not want to see Ewan McGregor reprise?
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Obi-Wan?
Let me ask you guys a question. When they did these Star Wars anthology films, do you think they made them to just do past stories, or do you think they want to make them for stories for the future also?
No, I feel like they wanted to do closure of things and make it so that they could make more of them with different storylines.
So what you're saying is that you'd only want to see past stories.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I said
understand.
it's. You don't understand. What are you understanding?
Your comment, like what does that even mean?
It's like basically getting rid of old and passing on to new.
So it's tying up loose ends, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah.
It's dangling plot threads that need to be explained.
That's what's going
That
on.
means you didn't create a fucking good universe where there's dangling plot threads, that we got to make movies to correct your dangling plot threads.
Which Star Wars film hasn't done that?
Has what?
Has not done a dangling plot thread.
Which film has not
Yeah,
done
I
that?
don't
one
think
has
I've
not.
heard the word dangling in a conversation so
We
many
just said that
times.
twice. That was like kind of weird.
Dangling plot threads.
Dangling
Which
plot
ones
threads.
haven't
I
had
can't
them?
even
Well,
say that. I was trying to say it.
we
Dangling
can't
plot threads.
necessarily agree
Plot
to say
thread.
that there are very many in The Last Jedi because we haven't seen Episode 9. So let's count out the new trilogy altogether. But
Okay.
then you have A New Hope. You have the original trilogy and the prequels. What are plot threads that need to be answered at this point? And are those stories you even give a shit about? I didn't think so.
They were kind of all answered into Clone Wars.
Fucking think so. So then, what's the point of these standalone movies that you just talked about then?
No,
If
you know
you
what
said that those plot threads were answered in Clone Wars, and you said they're tie up loose ends, then
No,
what
I'm saying
are
that
you talking about?
the film in itself, most of them do have plot threads to them behind it. Like
And
the end of it, like let's just say one, for instance, they'll end with all of them. And you don't know what happens with Anakin and Obi-Wan obviously beforehand, but you know that he's going to learn something at some point.
But then you said it's answered in where?
At some point, it's a prequel.
In
right.
the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah,
So-
but at that time you didn't know it.
But all right, so are you following along with
What's going on?
what I'm saying?
I'm sorry.
So what I'm saying is, I asked you about the anthology films, right? And you said that it was about dangling plot threads that they're tying up loose ends, and then you said, well, they've done that in Clone Wars. So
I'm
then, what is the
hypnotized by
point
the
of the
monitor.
anthology movies?
I'm sorry.
In your
I didn't hear what
opinion,
you were saying.
never mind.
In my opinion, the anthology movies are a great way to set up backstories and set up future story arcs, which they haven't done yet. We've only been getting backstories. So at this point in time, is it still official that Obi-Wan is our next? What is our next
Nothing's
anthology?
official,
Everything was
apparently.
canceled, right?
No, it wasn't. That's
Well-
what idiot Jeff Schneider, that fucking idiot, said. And
Yeah, fuck that guy.
well, I have no problem saying that. He's an idiot. But that's what he said, and he sticks
I don't
by
know
it.
who he is.
However, then he goes on. He wants to call us out on a lot of things. But then he's like, oh, well, you're going to trust what Disney said? Yeah, you fucking guy. Here's the reason why. If you can't trust the shit that we're saying, then I'm not going to trust the shit. What do you mean? Yes, I'm gonna trust what Disney said, you fucking moron.
And fuck the Nerdist too.
No, the
That's
Nerdist
all.
is fine.
Okay, never mind.
They're fine.
He's
But-
just saying random things. It's okay. I
know.
do it all the time.
My whole point is, I think that I don't know if that's the next movie. I don't know what the next movie is. According to what we're led to believe, is the next movie is the Rian Johnson trilogies, which could be the next
Those
movie.
are the next movies going into
DeMarcus
production.
Hamby's got a good point.
Right. We don't
Joseph,
have a-
there are a lot of plot threads that need to be tied up.
Name
And
'em, bro.
he said Joseph.
Name them, bro. Go ahead.
That we won't get. Let's
I'll
just
wait.
assume that the most recent trilogy, we're gonna wrap up most of those plot threads in 9. What
Travis
hasn't
Taylor
been-
wants to know what's your favorite Star Wars movie.
Who are we talking to?
Everybody.
And I think across the board, we don't agree. Mine's Empire. Everyone knows that, right? You guys know that Empire is my favorite.
As a standalone movie, is that still a good movie?
I
though?
don't know. Fuck it. Today it's
I'd
Empire
have to say Empire.
And then Holiday Special is a
No,
real
dude.
fucking
Oh,
close
yeah.
second.
I actually thought you were gonna say Holiday Special.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Star Wars movie, Rob?
I'm gonna go with across the board on that too. It's probably the strongest story. But my favorite is
But
a
again,
kid
And the
that's,
lowest grossing Star
But
Wars
again,
movie.
it
It's,
doesn't work
it's
as a
Return of the
standalone movie.
Jedi.
I'm just gonna put that out there.
my favorite as a kid that was Return of the Jedi.
Last
Because Luke had a
Empire
green
Strikes Back
lightsaber.
does not work as a standalone movie. Let's
No.
be real about it.
The Holiday Special does.
No, it does not.
Yeah, it does.
You can't understand the first 35 minutes of the movie.
No.
best
There's at
part of
least
that
at least
movie.
an hour and a half of the film you can't understand.
Okay, listen. We can all agree that the Holiday Special is the
Hey,
best
Jordan wants to
anthology
see your
film.
dangling plot thread.
Whoa. Whoa. Say that 5 times fast.
All right,
I
so yeah, I don't know. Is that it?
No. There's
more news.
You guys didn't answer the fucking question though.
I did.
What
I told
question?
you what my favorite Star Wars movie was.
He just said Empire, and I said
Okay.
Empire.
You-
But I said as a kid, I liked Jedi.
Okay, so it's Empire all the way across the
Yeah.
board. All right. Look at that.
A
We
New
all
Hope
agree on
was-
something.
is really good though.
We all
and
agree.
it's the best standalone Star Wars movie.
We're gonna keep drinking. Take it away, Joe.
Is there news? Is there more news? Are we done?
No, we don't got any more news.
Are you sure?
No.
I think,
The biggest news was Lando.
Hold on, just revealed. The next Star Wars movie will be Obi-Wan Kenobi. That was just. I'm just fucking with you. I was fucking with you guys back there.
So, no, that was taken off the table. There was a director and a screenwriter assigned by Disney for the Obi-Wan film. It was supposed to be the next anthology film. As of right now,
Oh, I have a question, and then we'll
it is
wrap
off
it
the
up.
table because I think they couldn't get Ewan McGregor. They couldn't come to terms with.
I
doing
think
it.
they can. We'll wrap it up, but after this question. However, I mean, you got to think that the way that Disney works, and just notice it. This isn't pulling the curtain back, but Disney will sign actors on to multiple movies, not knowing what those movies are. So if you
Right.
look at Ewan McGregor right now, what's the next Disney movie he's going to appear in? Christopher
Christopher
fucking Robin. Cue line.
Silly old bear.
That's right. And then secondly,
I need you to add in a yub.
and then I think that there has to be some sort of deal that's worked out for him to come back. Whether that deal's actually worked out, I don't
That's
know.
what I'm saying. I don't think they got the Ewan McGregor deal done because
Might
there
not
was
be
never an announcement.
But
and
I
then
also think they're frightened because of the Solo return, of which could
True.
have been off-putting. However, with that being said, Star Wars is still a strong franchise globally. Well, I don't know about globally. It's still a strong franchise in terms of toys and trademarks. And I think it's a missed opportunity not to do a Star Wars every year. However, the reason why Star Wars is so different than other films is that with Marvel, there's serialized storytelling told on a cinematic screen. With Star Wars, it's an event.
Right.
Star Wars is something you take your family to. Star Wars is something that generationally you grew up with. And it's
And remember, the Star Wars story is always born on the big screen. It's not something that was ever born in a book, ever born in a comic book. All that stuff came later. Star Wars was born on the big screen. So the movie releases are a big deal. They're a really big deal for the franchise.
yeah, and I think that's what it's kind of its thing is. So if Star Wars remains an event, instead of like if you get me 2 Star Wars movies a year, even like 3 or 4, like the Marvel way, it's the wrong way to go. You got to build everything up around.
It's a
it.
build-up.
Yeah, it's a build-up. It's something
it's
that
your
it's more-
characters on spaghetti noodles.
Yeah, it's more
after
than,
years
it's more
of
than
not
just
going
a
to
movie.
it.
Star Wars is something
Right.
that is a celebration of the love of characters and the celebration of a love of film.
And taking that into consideration, one of the reasons things might be on hold, because if you're going to believe the rumors, there is some possible change-ups happening at the highest levels at Star Wars. Is Kathleen Kennedy moving on? Is she handing the reins over? You're smiling like you know something about
No,
this.
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is if I were as confident, if I was Bob Iger and I was to put somebody in charge of Star Wars, why would you not choose Kevin Feige? A dude that's in the last 10 years has punched out 20 movies for Marvel
Right.
that have all been fairly successful.
Right.
For the most part.
For
I
the
mean,
most
it's probably the highest grossing franchise right now of anything else. And it blows its competition away. Now, if you're going to revitalize Star Wars, that would be the guy that you want to bring in. But then that leaves you open to questioning, what do you do with your Marvel franchise? And that's another story for another time. But, who knows what's going to happen? Is
Who
that
knows?
fucking Johnny over there?
I don't know. There's all kinds of shit going on in the studio today. Hey guys, what do you say we wrap this fucker up?
Rob, no hard feelings. I actually do agree with some of your opinions. I do. Legit.
Wow, that was out of the blue. What about hard feelings, bro? It's a tough
No, you
show.
just need to have.
It is
You
a
just
talk
need
show.
to. You just
You
need to
know,
have a
so
drink
you don't know
next
what
time
happened
around.
earlier on the other show. We had some super sensitive. I'll tell you. After.
Oh no! Talk about it. Talk about it. I
We'll
feel like
talk
the
about it
people
after
need
the
to
show.
know.
We'll talk about it after the
People
show.
need to know.
Talk about it after.
Well, it's all opinionated. This whole show is
No,
opinionated.
but it was super sensitive fans that it honed in on something that Daniel and Jezra had to come and apologize for. And
That's
you
terrible.
guys
You have to
tell me-
apologize on this.
Yeah, we'll talk about it
That's
after.
called internet trolls.
We'll
Chill
talk-
out,
it was,
internet
it was.
trolls.
Hey
But-
guys, I want to thank everybody on the Star Wars Fanatics group, in the Star Wars Fanatics group, and on the Star Wars Trilogy Facebook page. Everyone that visits all these articles and shares them from that #show.com. We want to thank you so much. You keep this page relevant. The chat is off the charts. We can't even keep up. There's like 500 comments just on this video stream alone. You guys are fucking awesome. You are the reason we do it. You are the reason we keep coming back. All these topics are coming from you, so please keep sending shit in. We fucking love it.
Mike's got
it.
fighting words for you, Joe.
Oh,
Feige will never do it.
Because you're
You got
Kevin
it.
Feige.
So, and yeah, why don't we, before we wrap this up, let's give a shout out to everybody in the comments. Greg Evans, as usual, always providing a lot of useful information and funny comments in there. There was all kinds of stuff from Travis Taylor, who was cracking me up, and DeMarcus, who's always in there. You guys, Justin Lee, thank you so much for participating and keeping the conversation going. We just want to let everybody
Justin
know.
Lee for sure. Do you crack my stuff
We
up
are
Yeah,
going.
Justin Lee's- I like Justin Lee.
Next week we're going to be at Comic-Con, so we're going to be kind of doing some. I'll be doing some live streams. Joe will be doing some live streams. Everybody will be chipping in on the live stream stuff, but there's not going to be any Star Wars Fanatics official webcast next week. So we'll be back
Unless
in
we get
2
Filoni.
weeks. Unless we get Filoni, yeah. Then we'll sit down and we'll fucking try to make it work. But other than that, thank you so much for everybody chipping in, sharing, liking, commenting. We love you. That #show.com. I'm Battlestar Gabrownica.
Good lord, I can't believe we still have that. He's
Thank you so much.
By
Joe,
the way,
take us out,
JJ
man.
Goodman, Anthony
us out.
Kutsky, sorry. A lot of you folks, who Ben Wolf, you guys
Yeah.
are great. Thank you guys
Great
so much for
articles,
contributing for the website. Guys, San Diego Comic-Con is upon us. We have a lot going on.
Clone Wars 10
I don't
year
know if I'm
anniversary.
more excited. Never mind. I'll talk
I will
about
not
that
be
later.
there.
It's going to be a lot of fun. San Diego Comic-Con is going to be a lot of fun. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for watching.
May the Force be with you.
Hit that like, share, and subscribe button to stay up to date with everything trending.
In geek pop culture.
Which Comic-Con? San Diego.